my darling. How you doing?
Hi, Emma. I'm very, very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. We've just been having a real brief chat, and I must say, for anyone watching on YouTube, the backdrop looks glorious. I want to be sat right where you are at this moment in time.
Oh, it's a beautiful room. This is my favourite room of the house. It's got lots of windows, lots of natural light, and it's got greenery all around. And as beautiful as this view is, it gets better when you go that way because it opens up to Dartmoor. Absolutely stunning.
Oh, how nice. And we're going to talk about where you live, where you reside in a minute. And I love the fact that you've just told me, which I didn't even know, that this was all part of a vision that you had at one point, and now you're living it. You're living the dream,
Absolutely, yes.
which is inspiring in itself. But let's get to it. So thank you so much for being here, my darling. As everybody knows, I talk about this each week, just in case someone's new to the podcast. But we created this podcast, Crossroads Cafe. We were hearing from a lot of women that were at a bit of a crossroads in their life, in their career, and they were uncertain of what way to go. So we decided, myself and Felicity, a mentor of mine, no longer on the podcast, unfortunately, but we decided to start recording the conversations that myself and Felicity were having each week, because even though we've both been in business a while, we were still coming up against these hurdles and these crossroads, and we were uncertain as to what road to take. And we just found that the conversations that we were having really helped, both of us move forwards. So we created the podcast in light of that, to sort of inspire other women who feel they're at a bit of a crossroads, they're uncertain of what way to go, to actually move forwards and go after their goals. A lot of the women that were coming through to us were women that wanted to start something up. So they were working in an employed job, or maybe doing a 9 to 5 or a part-time role. The majority seemed to be mums as well. And they just felt like they were a bit fed up with where they were at. They didn't feel that they were being sort of appreciated in their role. And they wanted to start up their own business. So a sort of a bright light went on in my mind, and I was like, right, I've connected with so many wonderful, inspiring entrepreneurial women like yourself, Donna. And I've learned from a lot of you. I'm part of a networking group here in Devon in the UK. And I've learned from so many of you. And I think it's just great to share those conversations, share those ideas, things that you've done to help you move forward or start your business that's going to inspire other people to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. Really, really is. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think this is the problem. We all have a desire, don't we? We all have a vision, or we have goals, or there's something that we want, but so many of us don't even take that first step to get there. And I think that can be one, maybe because we don't know what that first step needs to be. But there's all that other stuff, like the doubt and the fear,
Yeah.
other people's opinions. I hear that a lot. What are other people going to think if I give it a go? Or what are other people going to think if I give it a go and then I fail? There's all of this stuff. And I think it's really reassuring for anyone listening. We all feel that. We all go through that.
Absolutely.
But there's definitely there's definitely things that you can do and that you can adopt that are going to get you past that, so you do take action towards your goals.
Absolutely, yeah. There's all of the above, on a daily basis. You're always questioning yourself and asking yourself questions and doubting yourself. And it's just about coming home to yourself, using your intuition, and just really plugging into that and coming back to what your heart desires.
Definitely love it. So just tell us about what you do, and tell us why you do what you do, how it all came about.
So currently I'm a yoga teacher, and I also do holistic treatments as well. I'm based at a new location for me, Merrifield House in South Devon, and so I bring that all together, and I can also offer retreats from Merrifield House as well. So it's all about empowering women, empowering ourselves to learn about ourselves, to stand in our confidence, to stand in our power, and really to make those decisions that we can enable us to move forward. And I think, there's a lot of things that we can do for ourselves to empower and nurture ourselves. And I do believe that we've got everything we need inside, basically. You know, we
Yes.
own that. We own it. We just need to access it. And that is the beauty of yoga and meditation. It
Yes.
just enlivens these things in us.
Yes.
And so once we stop and we learn to listen, and we listen to what's going on in the inside, then we've got good tools and good grounding to move forward.
Yeah.
And the body can heal itself. And we just need to get ourselves into the right position to do that. It's not easy. You know, I'm a work in progress myself. You know, my life is not perfect. I do have aches and pains, so it's real. You know, but I do believe that if I wasn't doing what I was doing, my aches and pains would be worse. You know,
Yes.
so it's all about being a work in progress, but just listening and honoring your body.
Yes.
And
I
so
love
kind of
it.
where I am now. But I guess, you know, for me, my journey started in 2004 when I took my very first holistic treatment training course, which was Reiki at the time.
Yes.
And I was just sitting in a cold, wintry evening in a village hall, and I did Reiki with a wonderful lady. And it was just an evening course, if you like. And I remember her saying to me, what is now 20 years ago, doing this course will change your life. And I was 20 years younger. I was in a different life then. And I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
lady, you know, I'm here for a bit of fun, you know.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
It
20
did.
years later,
Oh my God.
trillion and squillion training courses later and qualifications later,
Yeah.
I have changed my life. I've moved 400 miles. I've got
Where
a new
was you
house.
then? Where was you living
So
then?
I was living in Milton Keynes at the time.
Right.
Which is
And
quite central to England, right in the middle, nowhere near the
yes.
coast, nowhere near the water. And so 15 years ago, my husband and I just decided to up sticks and move to Devon. We were literally a pin in a map. We wanted to live by the coast. We didn't know where, between Plymouth and Brighton, in and out all the little nooks and crannies. We found some areas that we liked. We just honed in. And then one winter's day again, and I say winter because it's no one's necessarily inspired by the winter when it's a wet and cold day. But we arrived to South Devon and we found a place that we wanted to move to, and we just knew straight away that's where we wanted to be. So we put an
Oh,
offer on a house. The offer was declined. We put another offer on the house. It was accepted. We went home. We put our house on the market and we sold it in 2 weeks.
oh
So
my God,
it
meant to
just
be.
happened. But that was
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we've moved our house a couple of times since. But we are so at home in the area we're at. But we say we were a pin in the
Yeah.
map. We just followed the dream then, and that was 15 years ago.
I love
So
that.
quite remarkable, really, how the stars can align and bring these
Yes.
things to you. But I do want to just say also, you know, I do believe in making things happen.
Yes.
You know, I'm not necessarily one about, you know, things don't fall into your lap. I've always worked hard. I've always aspired to reach certain goals, and I work hard for those goals.
Yes.
So it's not just a case of things land in my lap or anybody else's lap. We do still need to work towards them. And that at the beginning part of the process can be quite scary. So it's all about having a long-term dream, but breaking it down into smaller chunks and working towards it slowly, but just remaining
Definitely.
positive um, and confident along the journey can certainly help. And certainly, you know, it can be quite disheartening at times when you don't reach your goals or you don't reach them as quickly, but then you have a review and you take stock and then you change your plan,
That's
and
it.
you just it's fluid, dynamic sort of plan just to help you to get there, you know. So that was my
Definitely.
Reiki back then, and then I've just taken further yoga class, further training courses, which then led me to my yoga. And I didn't qualify in yoga until 5 years ago, so I'm a relatively new yoga teacher. But now I can't imagine life without it.
No, I
It's
love
just
that.
it's just fallen into place. It's been beautiful. I love it.
There always seems to be, I don't know, I see this because there's a few yogis, or I call you yogis, but yoga teachers in the networking group that we're part of. And there's quite a few yoga teachers down in this part of the country, I feel. I mean, there's yoga teachers everywhere, but there always seems to be an air of, I don't know, just calmness when I see you or Jules, who's a yoga teacher. You just seem so calm and tranquil and bit spiritual like, but that must be the practice that you do as
Yeah,
often as you do it, and the breathing that you do. Are
yeah.
you a calm person? Would you class yourself as a calm person?
No, I'm
No.
not a naturally calm person. Um, I'm not. I'm not necessarily an easy going with the flow kind of person. Um, so I do have a calm, go with the flow, serene, tranquil, spiritual side. And that's just me learning to listen to my body, listening to my
Okay.
heart, and slowing down on my yoga mat. And what we learn on the yoga mat, we can apply in our daily life.
Yes.
Um, so naturally, I can be quite anxious. Naturally, I can be a little bit of a worrywart. And I do talk and move quite fast. So coming back to my yoga practice, it helps me to slow me down. And again, without my yoga, I probably would be what I am now, but just faster, more
Stressed.
anxious. So
Yes.
it does help me contain those things. But if that's
Brilliant.
who I am, I'm always going to be a little bit of an anxious person or a little bit of worry. But as I say, a lot of what I practice and a lot of what I teach on the yoga mat, I try to put a little bit of philosophy behind it and a little bit of theory behind it to sort of say, listen to your body. Sometimes we work with contemplative questions, and it's about what do we learn on the yoga mat and how can we apply this off the yoga mat.
Yeah.
So one of my most favorite things, and it's become really poignant during COVID, is that when we practice balances, we might be standing on one foot, we might be a little bit wobbly,
Mm.
we might not feel that secure or that stable.
Mm.
But when we can learn to find the peace within that wobble, or
Yeah.
when we can learn to find the strength that we need to stay stationary on the yoga mat, we can then become a little bit stronger, a little bit more resilient off the yoga
Yeah.
mat.
Love it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, that helps me. And I'm
Yes.
hoping it helps somebody else too. Um,
Yes.
and it's great. You can
Yeah.
apply all these things. And then again, when you're in real life and these things happen, it's quite nice
Mm.
to go, well, actually, how would I normally have responded to that? Would
Mm.
I have been a little bit more wired up? Would I have been a little bit more fiery? Or has my attitude, has my response changed?
Mm.
And so there is a very tangible side of yoga
Mm.
once you practice and you are listening.
Mm.
And the same for meditation. So if people don't want to physically move with the yoga practice, then they could do breathing techniques and mindfulness, and they could
Mm.
do meditation. And
Mm.
it slows the brain down, it
Mm.
calms the nervous system, and it has a positive effect on our well-being in the same
Mm.
way.
God,
So
we all
yoga,
need a bit of that right now, I think.
absolutely, yeah. So
Yeah.
yoga is a
Yeah.
moving meditation, and meditation, as we know it, meditation is obviously stationary.
Yes.
um, and so yoga, that the physical part of yoga has been added to the contemplative part, because as Westerners we want to move, we want to move, we
Yeah.
want to sweat, we want to get our muscles moving. But really,
Yeah.
yoga is the contemplative part. It's the coming back to yourself, it's the listening to
Yes.
the heart, and it's about learning and becoming stronger with what you learn during your practice.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Love that. Love that. And I love the fact that you talk about building confidence. So I asked, like, what are your highs and lows, your challenges on your journey? So starting out in Reiki, and then, like you say, and this is something that we hear every week when we speak to business women, whether they're new to business or they've been in business a long time. It is a journey. It's ever evolving. You're always learning, and
Yeah.
just because you start out doing something, so say if you have an idea of something, of a business that you want to start or you want to create, just because that's your initial idea at the beginning, that doesn't mean to say it's going to look like that 5, 6, 7 years, months even down the line. It's always changing, isn't it? It's always evolving, and it's learning throughout that process and adapting. So I ask about your lows, if you've had your highs, your lows, and your challenges in your sort of entrepreneurial journey. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because you talk about stepping into my power, and that really
Yeah.
jumped out at me.
Naturally, I wouldn't say I was a confident person. Although a lot of people do say to me that I've got quite a confident air about me, but there'll always be something on the inside, something in the tummy that goes, really? Are you sure? Do you want to question that a little bit more? So, as I say, nothing comes terribly naturally to me, but I'm just very conscious of things, and I work hard on myself. You know, I am my own project, if you like, my own case study for a lot of the training courses I've done. And so I think my confidence is built with experience, for sure. My confidence builds because I put myself out there. I really put myself out there on the edge, and I'll feel the fear, but I just do it. I don't know what it is, but I just do it. I will literally just jump off the edge into the unknown to transition towards something if it's what I want to do. So a lot of people won't do that, and I will, and I don't know what the outcome's going to be. It could be complete failure. It could be a complete success, right? So, you know, we've got to stay on the positive side. And so, you know, I've just got this ability to be nervous and to worry about something, but I've also got the ability just to actually just take the jump.
And I'm going to ask you a question based on that. What do you think it is that makes you do that? Is there something, why do you think you're able to do that?
Do you know what? I think at the end of the day, whatever decision you make, you can reverse it. You can stop, you can change, you can go backwards, you can correct your life in some way. You know, we have the ability. We're always in the driving seat. We've got a choice. And we can either go that way or that way. And then if we go that way and we decide we want to go that way, fine, just change.
Yes.
So I think the thing is, I do feel the fear when I do things, but ultimately I know that I'm always in control at the other end as well, and I can just change course.
Yeah.
There's a great phrase that I do use in one of my classes, and it goes something along the lines of, I'm not going to worry, I'm not going to stress or be anxious about anything, because if something is in my control, then I don't need to be stressed or worried. And if it's outside of my control, then there is no need to be stressed or worried.
Yeah,
because it's outside my control, there's nothing I can do. But if it's in my control, then I'm in control.
Yeah.
So either way, there's no need to be stressed or worried. So actually, I do come back to that a lot.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Well,
I remember that from your classes, actually, Donna, because I've done a few of your online Zooms when we were in lockdown. And one thing I do remember from your classes, there's lots of what I class as affirmations. There's lots of affirming things to yourself. So you'll be talking and you'll be talking to yourself. You'll be suggesting maybe some of the things to say like that, I am in control, or whatever it may be, as you're doing your positioning. And I'm a big one when it comes to affirmations. I do affirmations morning and evening. And I actually tap when I do my affirmations, and I think they're brilliant. Yeah, I really do find them beneficial. But yeah, you touching on that, does it really matter? That's a great question to ask ourselves, and something that I do, because like I say, we're all on this roller coaster of a journey through life and trying to achieve the things that we want to achieve. I think it's great to have a reason why you want to achieve something, you know, have that deeper reason for you wanting to go after your goal. You mentioned about when you moved to the country to live in Devon. And you have that ability to just go for it. So it is being able to just take that initial action. But if you've got a real desire as to why you want to achieve something, whether that's because you want to, you know, better your life in some way or whatever, that's going to really help you achieve your goal, because you're forever going back to that reason why. And that's going to help, I think, you take action. It needs to be bigger than just, oh, I want to move to the country, don't you think? Or I just want to start that business. Why do you want to start that business? What's it going to mean to you if you start that business? You know, how's it going to impact your life if you start that business? And then asking yourself these sorts of questions and coming up with real sort of in-depth, meaty answers to them is going to help you to keep taking action, because that's all it is. Confidence, everything. Self-belief, when you talk about stepping into your power, being authentic, that can be hard. You know, it can be hard to show up as our true self. But if you start doing the smallest thing, just the smallest thing, where you feel you're stepping into your power. An example of that, a great example of that, one of the mums at the school was saying to me, with all the COVID stuff going on, she hates wearing the masks, and she finds them very claustrophobic, and they make her feel really that she just doesn't like it. And it got to a stage when, you know, people weren't wearing them, some were wearing them. I don't think it was you had to wear them, but a lot of the parents and the, you know, going into the shops were still wearing them. And she said, you know, she said, I just thought, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And she said, I didn't want to, I was wearing it because I was worried what other people would think of me if I didn't wear it, type
mm,
thing. But she
mm,
said, I decided, you know what, this is me stepping into who I am.
mm.
I'm just not going to wear it. So she stopped wearing it. So that was her taking that small step in stepping into her own power. And by doing these small little actions over a period of time, they become bigger and they become bigger and they become bigger. And then it really does feel that you can be the authentic person that you are and unafraid of other people's, you know, opinions or thoughts of you. Because I think
Yeah,
that's a big hurdle for us women to overcome, or for everybody to overcome. Do you think?
absolutely. Yeah, it is. It really, really is. And
Mm.
I think you're right, you know. And I guess my motto for life for a long time, for as long as I can remember, is just to work towards being happy and healthy. You know,
Yeah.
and if I've got some decisions to make, I'm like, will it make me happy? Will it make me healthy?
Yeah.
And if it ticks those boxes, then great.
Then I'm going to do it. Yeah. Love
You know,
that.
and if it doesn't make me happy,
Yeah.
then, or if it's not going to make me healthy, if it's going to be an unhealthy choice, then I've got a choice to accept or decline, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
always got a choice. Nothing is ever pigeonholed. We've
No.
always got that choice.
Yes.
um so
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm moving down here, you know, it was a lifestyle choice.
Yes.
And you know, me manifesting, you know, the new place that we're living now at Merrifield House, you know, that's got to be 20 years worth of manifestation coming into fruition, you know. And that
Yes.
literally happened in 5 weeks in lockdown
Yeah.
last year. One
Yeah.
minute we didn't know it was happening, the next minute it was, and then we were here. um
Amazing.
and again, the stars aligned. But you know, having yourself some little goals, having yourself an affirmation, and I do believe in affirmations.
Mm.
um, you know, and it's about repeating things in a positive way to yourself.
Mm.
um, and someone said to me once, you know, worrying is like praying for something to happen.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that has also really stuck with me. That was a light bulb moment for me a couple of
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've really diminished my anxiety and my worry since that exact statement.
Yes.
So coming back to the positive affirmation, it's something that we're saying to ourselves that was positive,
Yeah.
and we can say it again and again and again. And, you know, another little cliche, fake it till you make it, you know.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
out there, do it well, and then all of a
Mm.
sudden things start to kick in, and all of a sudden you're doing it without you even realizing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a process. It is a process, and it's all about, and what you're saying, it's all about the doing. You have to do the do. We speak about confidence, and you know, you hear so many times people don't do something. Oh, I can't do that because I haven't got the confidence. Oh, I can't do that because I haven't got the self-belief. The only way you're going to get the confidence and get the self-belief is in doing the things that scare the shit out of you. Do you know what I mean? In doing the stuff that you're
Yeah,
saying that you want to do, but that you're not doing, because the more you
yeah,
say you want to do something and you don't do it, the
mm,
more in here we beat, you know, in our mind, we beat ourselves up for not doing it, because we're going, oh, I can't do that. I can't do
yeah,
that. I want to do it, but I can't. So you beat yourself up, and then you just become lower and lower and lower. A great question. One thing I say to myself when I'm worrying about something or there's something on my mind, I do say to myself, am I going to be stressed about this in 5 years' time? And nine
yeah,
times out of 10, the things that I mean, I know there's a lot more going on around the world at the minute. So there's a lot more worry because of, there's, like you've touched on, things that are completely out of our control. But like you say, if they are out of our control,
mm,
we are in control of our body. We are in control of what we do to stay healthy and well. But if they are completely out of our control, what's the point in worrying about them anyway? Because all that's going to do is impact
mm,
negatively your
mm,
mental well-being, and your physical well-being.
yeah,
Um, but I know for me, I could be stressing over the most stupidest of things, you know, like the house being dirty, or all the washing I've got to do, or trying to juggle all these things, or Matt getting on my nerves, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, is this really something to be stressing about? You're anxious about all these different things. Is this something you should be anxious about? It's so
mm,
insignificant, a lot of the stuff that we stress about. And no one knows what's ahead. None of
mm.
us know. And I think we tend to worry about a lot of things that haven't actually happened yet. We don't know what's going to happen.
We do. We worry about, we rehash what's happened in the past. We worry about the future. And again, coming back to the yoga, the meditation, this is a really great thing. It's a really good benefit. So we focus on the breath a lot. We're visualizing, or we're using an affirmation, or using a mantra, and it brings us into the present moment. So it allows us to listen to what our body wants to do. It allows us to listen to the mind. It allows us to listen to the heart. And I always think that whatever is going on before a yoga class or a meditation, it's still there when you come out, but the edges are softer. And it just brings things back into perspective. It really does.
Love that. So
Absolutely.
what are some of the biggest lessons, would you say, that you've learned through starting up your business and it evolving, and you may be changing, you know, what you're offering out to your customers or your client base? What's one of the biggest lessons, or the biggest lessons, that you've learned throughout your journey and still learning, possibly?
You say, what is the biggest one? I think the most important thing that I learned first was the need not to be perfect, or the need for things to be perfect around me. There's never a right time to launch a new business. There's never a right time to step out there. There's never a right time to speak to a new client. You know, there's never a right time for anything. It's just a case of seizing the moment and just doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm very much one for, right, well, I'll write this new course, and once the course is completed, and once it's finalized, and once it's perfect, then I'll launch it. You know, you can probably launch it a little bit sooner than that. You can sort of, you know, allow it to be a work in progress, you know. And I think one of the most important things that I learned during my yoga teacher training course was I did some observations of other yoga teachers, because that's an all important part of it. And I attended, you know, yoga teachers that had been training for, or practicing for 20 years or so. They're all beautiful human beings. They've all got beautiful offerings in terms of their yoga practice, and they've got a very successful business. But there would be certain things that they'd still get their words muddled. They'd still get their left and their rights mixed up. And I'm like, wow, you're human. And for me, that was a massive moment.
Yes.
A massive moment.
Yeah.
So it really gave me permission to be imperfectly perfect.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to get it right every time. You don't have to have it finished and finalized before you do something with it.
Definitely.
And I ran a business in my old life, if you like, running Hen and Stag company, running party organization. And after a couple of years, I kind of decided I wasn't earning enough money. It wasn't taking off, and it had limited legs to it, if you like. It didn't have much longevity, so I gave it up. And I remember talking to someone and sort of saying, well, I'm really, really disappointed, really sad, my idea hasn't worked. And he said to me, well, you know, this is great, you know, how old are you? And I was like, well, 23. And he's like, well, how many businesses have you run in the past? I said, well, this is the last one. He said, fine, just get up, brush yourself down, and carry on with another idea there. And he said, in America, he said, you commonly ask people how many business failures they've got, and they'll be racking up 10s and 20. Well, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried that, it didn't work. And they just crack on. And again, I just thought that's quite empowering. You know, obviously we all want to be a success, but every single thing we do creates our character. It all creates who we are today. We learn something by every single experience, whether it's a success or a failure. But if you turn that round, the failures are successes.
Definitely.
You know,
Always.
it's how you look at things. It's all about a sense of perspective, isn't it?
Yes, universe's way of pointing us in a different direction. I very much, and I have it up on my wall, scrappy is the new perfect. And I think this is the thing, especially at this moment in time. You hear so many people saying, oh, it's not the right time, you know, we don't know where we're going to be in 6 months or 12 months, or, you know, with business the way it is, or if we set this up and we can't get anyone there because of COVID and all this kind of stuff. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be a reason why you can't try something or achieve something or go for something. But at the same time, there's always opportunity. There's opportunity in everything. There's opportunity in crisis just as much as there's opportunity when there isn't a crisis, you know, standing straight in front of us. So I think there's never a right time. I totally agree with you. And you just need to go for it. You just need to make a decision. You need to decide, gain clarity on what it is that you want or where it is that you want to go. yes, you need to build the courage to take action, but you're only going to do that in taking the action, in taking the first small step. And it doesn't need to be a big one. You touched on it earlier, breaking it down and just making taking some form of action towards your goal. And then it's consistency, isn't it? The more you're doing something, the more we adapt, the more we get used to it, the more we build the confidence or the courage or whatever it is that we need to get to where it is that we want to go.
It really is. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people will come into a yoga class and the first thing they'll say to me is, well, I'm not very flexible.
Yeah.
99% of people say I'm not very flexible. And I'm like, well, have you ever done anything that you've been perfect at first time?
Yes.
You know, whether it's running, cycling, needlework, cooking, poetry, anything, building a business. You know, is there anything that you do so amazingly well organically the first time? Probably not. There might be some things, of course. So it's all about practice and consistency, you know, and that's why we call yoga practice. And we can apply that to other things in life as well. So it's that consistency, it's that belief, and it's just that showing up to commit to something that then builds results. And you know, I think a lot of people can also potentially fall at the first hurdle and not pick themselves back up. But again, it's about picking yourself back up again. And I do remember, so I'm full of quotes today. Another little quote was, mistakes are proof that you're trying.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. You know, if you're not making mistakes, what are you doing? You're probably not doing anything. You're probably stuck in a little rut. You're probably happy with your life the way it is. You're not pushing yourself. You maybe not traveling towards your dreams. And they might be somewhere in the distance, you know. And so, you know, yeah, mistakes are proof that you're trying.
And we all want to grow, don't we? We all want to move forwards. No one wants to go backwards. We all want to challenge ourselves, whether we openly admit that or not. I think, you know, we want to move forwards. We want to achieve the things and have the things, or, you know, inspire the people, whatever it may be. We want to reach our goals. The only way you're going to reach your goals is with taking that little bit of action and keeping that consistent. So that's been a big lesson.
Yeah. And you know, I weave a lot of seasonality or influence of the seasons into my yoga classes as well. And so when you look at the seasons, and this is a little bit about coming back to your power, but it's about stepping into your power at the right time. So when you break it down, and if you look at what the 4 seasons in our physical world represent, we can apply that to how we move forward energetically as well. So if you think of a traditional winter phase, you know, it's dark, the nights are long, and we want to hibernate. We want to come in, we want to snuggle ourselves up with a cup of cocoa in front of the fire. So this is like a perfect time to just rest and recharge, just sort of step back from the busy world and the busy life, and to just recharge. And it gives us time for contemplation, and it gives us time to just think about what we want to do in the next phase, and we can reflect on what's worked well, what hasn't. And then as we transition forward, as we reach spring, in spring, you know, the flowers are starting to shoot, you know, the birds are singing, the sun starts to come out, and the world starts to wake back up again. And so in that regard, this is a really good time for us to start thinking about the projects that we want to put into motion.
Plant the seeds.
Exactly. And then things start to come into life, and then it's summer, and then summer is the most fertile time of year, and the sun's most powerful, you know, and the world is flourishing. And then this is where we can really step into our power, and this is where we can then put all of those things into action, and it can have a really positive effect, you know. And then we come to autumn, and then it's when we start to wind back down again. And it's when the leaves are falling from the trees, and the leaves are falling into the ground, and they can be mulched, and they can become compost, and they then nourish the ground. And things have this natural slowing down again. And then so when we reach our autumnal phase, or if in autumn, that's another time for us to start slowing down, and just to start recharging ourselves again before we go back into hibernation. And it's all about cycles. Exactly.
It is. And even if you look back through history, you see, even with what's going on in the world today, if you go back through history, you'll see it's just cycles. It's all, you know, it comes and goes, it comes and goes in cycles. I think that don't let it be a reason for anyone not to start thinking this is winter months, I'm just gonna hibernate, because even when you're hibernating, you can be getting yourself prepared, you can be organizing, you can be sorting, like you say. But yeah, it's all about cycles.
And there's another interesting aspect to that, actually, in that those seasonal reflections, what happens in our physical seasonal calendar, also happen in a field of body. So on our menstrual cycle, we will go through those 4 seasons within our month as well. So, you know,
Okay.
at certain times of the month, we're going to want to stop and reflect. At certain times of the month, we're going to be full of action, and we're going to be able to get out there in the world, and we're going to be a lot more positive, and we're going to make much more decisive action and decisions.
Yeah.
And quite possibly, if we try to make those really important decisions in our winter phase of our menstrual cycle, you know, we're going to be feeling a little bit tired, a little bit lethargic. We might not be so switched on. But if we
Okay.
want to make those those informative, powerful, important decisions in our summer phase, so our ovulation phase, then we're going to be a lot more switched on. So those seasons can also be reflected within our monthly cycle as well, which I find fascinating. And then you can also
So
apply that,
interesting.
you can apply that from menarche through to menopause as well. So when
Wow.
we're teenagers through to, you know, sort of menopause, postmenopausal, that can also be broken down. So you've got your menarche, you've got your maiden, you've got your maiden, your mother, your enchantress, which is your autumn, and then you've got your crone, which is your winter. So your whole life cycle can be broken down into those phases and those seasonal cyclical changes as well. It's fascinating. And then
It
if you
is
overlay
really
all of it
interesting.
together,
Yeah, it is
you've got a lot of
interesting
power.
because it by looking into that, you can, like you say, you may you can maybe put a reason behind why at certain times you don't feel like doing certain things, or you don't feel you've got it in you. Do you know what I mean? You feel like you're chasing, or just tired or ready to go, whatever it may be. It's very interesting to understand and learn about that, isn't it? I
It
love
is,
that.
it really is. And there's a fantastic book called The Optimized Woman. And it's all
Okay.
about how, as a woman, we can work with the cycles of our body, and we can step into our power. And you know, in the boardroom, we can make these important decisions in our summer months, and how we then need to step back and just honor our winter months.
Mm,
Um, sorry, not winter months, that winter part of our cycle. And
mm.
then we know, you know, today's probably not a good day to make those decisions.
So I'll leave
So
it for now. Yeah.
I'll leave
Yeah.
it until I step. And the other big thing that I tend to do is I've lived really in a summer phase. You know, I'm very active, I'm very proactive, I'm very energetic, and I take on a lot. You know, and it took me a while to then figure out, well, actually, I'm living in summer all the time.
Time.
I'm
Yeah,
living in
yeah,
this
yeah. My
highly
body needs.
fertile, highly
Yeah,
proactive
yeah,
life of
yeah,
time. I need to stop. I
yeah,
need to slow down.
yeah.
And that's a big part of my self-care, you know, making sure that I do get that rest.
Stepping into
Um,
your power. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant. So what's next for the business? What have you got, anything coming up? If anybody wants to contact you with regards to your yoga classes, or you know, I don't, do you do online classes? What is it that you offer?
I'm now running online classes and studio classes. So something in the pipeline for me as we speak right now is I'm developing an on-demand service.
Brilliant.
So I'm hoping to launch in a couple of weeks' time. And
Okay.
this means that people can access an online library of pre-recorded classes at any time of their choice. So
Brilliant.
they don't have to register for a particular class. They can just sign up, pay as you go, or pay for a membership to unlimited access,
Yeah.
and they can just access those classes. So there'll be yoga, meditation, pranayama techniques, and there'll also be some little courses that people can sign up to and do that as
Brilliant.
well. So
Brilliant.
that's a really exciting part of my business going forward. And if I'm honest, that's also a great way and a great tool for me to just maintain some balance, because it means I can
Yes.
still service my clients, I can still offer, but I don't have to offer 20 classes a week anymore. So I can really
Yes.
step back a little bit, and I can
Yes.
start to, you know, find a place of balance, which is what I've been aiming for. The other thing that's really exciting for me is that Merrifield House is now a year old for us, and we're working towards now having a fully functional B&B, which will be, we've had a season this year of a couple of weeks, so very limited, but next year that'll be up and going.
Brilliant.
And then I want to combine that. So the idea for me with this is that people can either come and stay at the B&B, regardless of yoga.
Yes.
They can come and do a yoga class regardless of the B&B.
Yes.
If they want to join the two together, then they absolutely can.
Love
So they
it,
can come and stay, and then they can do yoga at the same time.
Yes.
So this year we had some ladies turn up that didn't know I was doing the yoga. So they arrived, realized that I was, and signed up. It was great. But if people have got the knowledge in advance, then they can build their own retreat.
Yes.
So that's my new offer. So build your own retreat. So instead of having a fixed time, a fixed date, fixed price, fixed agenda, it can be a design your own retreat for the date of your choice, with the people of your choice, and with the program of your choice, you know.
Sounds lovely. And I need to come down and check out your place of residence, because it does look amazing. It looks beautiful for anyone watching on YouTube. It looks beautiful, and it literally is just up the road from me. I didn't realize you were so close.
Yeah. So the first point
lovely.
of call to contact me would be my Simply Soulful Yoga website.
Okay.
And you can find the Merrifield through that. So I don't want to complicate it by giving two web addresses. But www.simplysoulful.co.uk, and you can find out about the yoga retreats, the on-demand service, and the B&B side as well.
Sounds lovely. Well, I'll make sure I put all the links in the feed of the podcast, in the notes, and on the YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to get hold of Donna, that is the way to do it. Well, thank you so much. It was lovely catching up with you today. And yeah, just seeing your beautiful face. It's been a while. And I hope to see you soon. You take care, Donna. Thanks again.
You take care too. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.